It's day 6. No, it's day 4. I bet I'm not the only one that is making that mistake just now. Oh my goodness, it's only been 4 days. It's 4 days. It's day 4, and twice a day, every day. Twice a day. I'm losing it already. I'm losing it, and it's only been four days. Actually, I personally have been quarantining since last Sunday. So for me, what is that? It's day 11. Day 11 for me. But yeah, admittedly, wow, I'm struggling with my numbers. So welcome back. In our last stream, which was just this morning, we did Redstone, and the feedback from that has been phenomenal. We've had a lot of Facebook PMs. We've had a lot of Twitter DMs saying, where can I get this world? Can you lead me to this website? Could you just repeat this bit? Here's the thing I want to say to folks before I start is we don't have to repeat those things, because we are streaming these to YouTube and they will stay there as a collection. And so if you go there already, you'll find a series of our videos. So that is youtube.com/c/immersive minds. Check it out. Also, if you're watching on Facebook, that's fab. If you're watching on Twitter, that's amazing. But we do have an official channel on twitch.tv/immersive minds. And we also have mixer.com/immersive minds. So consider that TV for teachers. Get on there, set up a free account, subscribe. The more followers I can get on there, the more we can do with this platform. So, but wherever you're watching from, I am grateful. And wherever in the world you're watching from, we've had hundreds and hundreds of people watching since Sunday from 5 separate continents, which has been fantastic. I know that the South Africans are in with me regularly. I know that we've had Canadians, we've had El Salvador, Argentina, we've had someone from China, New Zealand. We've had them all over. So come on in and see us. If you are in, drop something in the chat wherever you are. If you're Facebooking or you're Twittering or you're mixing or whatever, drop something in the chat to say hi. I also encourage this. This is about building community, having a chat together, letting our thoughts in this strange and difficult time come out, as well as, of course, the Minecraft teaching for your children in general. And so if you're a parent, you're a teacher, whoever you are, Karina's back in with us from Israel. It's lovely to see you again, Karina. This is going to be a guide to coding for this one. So ask your questions. You could be a parent, you could be a student, you can be a teacher, educator of another kind, you could even be from another company. Ask your questions, I will answer. I am stuck in my home doing nothing else. Which is a break for me, because anybody who knows me knows that I travel something like 70% of my year, 2017, 18 and 19. I spent about 70% of my year on the road. So let's get started. This is an introduction to coding. Code Builder, specifically in Education Edition. And so what I'd like to start with is just telling you a bit about that. For those of you who are unaware, Minecraft Education Edition comes with coding built in. So while you're playing the game, you can just press one handy key. It's not even a separate program anymore. And you can go straight into a coding platform that allows you to basically make things in Minecraft using only either JavaScript or Python, whichever your preferred language of the two are. It's actually block-based, so that makes it easier as well. Confession, I am not a coder. Actually, that's not true. There's no such thing as I am not a coder, because I'm going to prove to you that I am. I was never trained as a coder. And I know that that's the position that lots of teachers and parents are in right now. They're like, well, I've never coded, but suddenly I'm being asked to do computing studies. Suddenly I'm being asked to do a coding hour of code so that I can get my kids to learn this computing science curriculum as part of their history. And that's how it should be. Computing science should be threaded through all of our curriculum. But many of us are thinking, but wait a minute, I was never trained to do this. Don't worry about it. Neither was I. I'm going to show you how easy it is. So first things first, let's start a new world. So as always, I'm going to go to play. I'm going to go to view my worlds. And if you want to see any of the setup of new worlds and You know, we see over there we did some redstone basics, we've looked at Pompeii, we've done World War One. All of this is contained in other videos which you can check out on YouTube. But for the meantime, let's click on New World and then New. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to call this one Coding Basics, because this stream will just be the basics. Later I'm going to do more complex streams based on purely coding awesome things. We're going to make it creative because I don't really want to do survival mode while I'm coding. I want to do peaceful because I don't want monsters yet. Nobody's going to be joining me, so my permission levels don't matter. Let's make this a flat world to begin with, because an infinite world will just have distractions. I want a nice place to be able to build and code, and specifically code. So I'm going to use a flat world as an example. Let's make sure we have coordinates in. Now, coordinates are very, very important for coding. In fact, there's a whole section of the code that's dedicated just to coordinates. And if you want to code something in Minecraft specifically, you need to code using, or you need to have the coordinates switched on and understand where certain elements of the world are. And I'll explain that later, but keep coordinates on, it's very important. And a pen and paper handy for noting down those coordinates. We're going to activate the cheats. We must have Code Builder switched on. In previous videos, I've kind of showed you how to switch that off, told you why you should switch that off, because the C key, which is the one we press to engage with Code Builder, is not is kind of sandwiched between the D key and the space bar, depending on where you are in the world. And for me, I press it by accident, kind of interrupts me. But for the moment, we want to keep that on because that's important. Always day, I don't need to code in the dark. I can always make it dark if I need to. And then for classroom settings, we're going to allow mobs because I'm going to need them. We're going to make it perfect weather, and everything else will remain the same. So once we're done, let's just recap. So if you're following along either now or later, when you watch this video on YouTube, we're going to give it a name. Always name your worlds. Creative, peaceful, doesn't really matter. Flat, show coordinates, yes. Activate cheats, Code Builder, always day, and perfect weather. Everything else, allow mobs, maybe all the others should remain the same. Press play. And then once we're in, we're just going to kick straight to it, because what we would normally do in a world like this is we would build, right? We would go into our inventory and we would say to the kids, right, we want you to build a DNA strand, or we want you to build a farm, or whatever it is we happen to be doing that day. But what we want to do is we want to press the C key. And when we press the C key, let me just double check this works on the stream. Yep, it does, good. Sometimes it's considered as an overlayer. We get this option, choose your editor. So we can either use Microsoft MakeCode or we can mod with Tinker. Now, play with Tinker, by all means, it's a fantastic coding platform, but we're going to use Microsoft's own MakeCode because that's the one that I write curriculum for. And this is based on JavaScript. And then you're introduced to this screen here. This is a Code Builder screen. Let me again check that that has opened up. No, it hasn't. So I'm going to have to add that. Let me just add the screen that you are introduced to separately. I'm going to have to swap between them. And I didn't actually consider this, so that is my bad. Let me just do a window capture. I'm just going to add this in. And it's going to be that one. That's going to be called code. And what I can do is switch that off and on again. There we are. So you can see this one, right? Let me just, yeah, that's on OBS. Let me just check. We're back again. Okay, so once Code Builder opens up, you're given this screen. And you can look at, it's called Code Builder, and you can go down and you can look at coding, live coding. You can watch people like me coding live. This is how it works. You can go down to some superpowers or what to do with your agent. Mobs, we did a video for those of you who are watching that have seen some of these videos as we've done them before. We looked at mobs already, aquatic fun, terraforming, mini games, builder, etc. You can go in and you can check those out, and there's lots and lots of them. Use the arrow on the right hand side. You can import your own piece of code. We're not going to do that quite yet, but we are going to click on New Project. And we're going to give it a name. So we're going to call this basics, and then we're going to click create. And what that does is, let me just check my stream that you're getting to see this. You are, and then if I switch that off, yeah, there we are. You are, because it's technically an overlay, it's a web-based overlay. So I'm just having to add that in. Be mindful of that. It looks as if it's in Minecraft. It's engaged by Minecraft, pressing the C key, but it's technically not the same as Minecraft. And so you'll see here that what we have is we have Code Builder at the top, our title. We can full screen or we can half screen. All right, so we can see Minecraft in the background. I'm not sure if you can do that. Let me check my, yep, you can see how that works. I'm just going to make it full screen again. And then I'm just going to check my OBS and make sure that's capturing. It's not actually capturing the full screen, so let me just do that just now. You'll probably see some weird moving around. That's it. That's the full screen you should be looking at right there. Excellent. And I'm going to lock that so it doesn't move, and then I can either switch it off or I can switch it on. Excellent. Now, this is actually quite tricky to stream because it's two separate things. I'll need to bear that in mind in the future. So this is our page. It's called Code Builder at the top. You have split screen, and then you can choose which side you want using this button up the top. So I prefer it on my left or I prefer it on my right. I actually prefer to just toggle between the two. I prefer one and the other. Although, for the purposes of this stream, it might actually make sense for me to have it half and half, because that means when I press the play button, it should automatically, yes, let's leave it half and half for the purposes of the stream. Thinking out loud, but streaming is a complex creature. And then down the left-hand side here, this is the important part. Down the left-hand side here, we have the types of code that we're going to be using. So you'll see if I open this up, these are our basics. On chat command, on player walk, place something, spawn something, and use your agent. We'll come to agent in a moment. But then we can categorize them. And you'll notice that these are the sorts of things, even though we're using MakeCode, which is a common platform across things like the microbit, for example, these are Minecraft-specific tabs. So we have player, blocks, you wouldn't get that anywhere else. Mobs, you wouldn't get that anywhere else. Agent, again, gameplay, positions, loops, logic and variables, etc. are probably very common across other platforms. But if we go into blocks, we get things like placing a block. On block placed, do something. On block broken, do something. And remember, that's the whole point of code. I was not trained as a coder, but what I come to understand is, what we're looking at here is on block placed. So when a when a block is placed, and that block can be any of these standard blocks in Minecraft, we can do something. And that's something that could be anything. We could pull from any of these blocks. So I'm just going to put that back in the bin there. You'll see I did that, and I'll review that in a second. We have mobs. What if we want to spawn an animal, or spawn a projectile, or apply an effect to the nearest player, or clear all effects? So say our players are all blind because they've got a blind potion that's hit them. Maybe when they go into a certain area, we can code it that area clears those effects, so they're safe again or something like that. This comes in handy when you're doing things, in my mind, when you're doing things like the refugee crisis. So we can have coded areas that do certain things. Detect for player, make this happen, and we can run that in the background. But for the moment, what I want to do is go to our, where are we? Our basics. Player blocks. Let me just double check we've got everything. Yeah, our loops one's important as well. And I want to show you a couple of examples. So to pull something in, I'm just going to get rid of these for the moment. Imagine it was a blank slate. I want to go into basic, and I want to take, you'll see that when my mouse moves over it, it goes yellow. And I want to drag that now, and I can decide where on the window, the menu disappears, and I can decide where on the window this fits. This is a huge canvas. We can move this around just by using our mouse to move the canvas around. And that's going to become handy when you've got lots and lots of code. You can have multiple streams of code happening up here. And so we're going to just pop that there. And we're going to do on chat command. Now, let's have a look at something. If I go back, I'm just going to press escape, and then I'm just going to test with my stream what that looks like. Yeah, we're good. We're good. It's working. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look around, and you'll notice this guy. If I back off, this little guy spawned. He only spawned because I pressed C. He's called your agent. I call him my little monkey. And he has the name above. And any number of students in the world can have their agent active at any one time. Used to be just one, now it's multiple. So if you have 5 kids at once, they can be coding different things within the world, which is fantastic. That's a relatively new update. And your agent only does what you ask him to do. And so for coding basics, I like to start with the agent because it gives the children a point of reference. It gives the students a point of reference to say, I want to see how code can affect this little chap. The only problem is he doesn't move. He doesn't go anywhere. And if I want my code to start here instead, let's just get a nice yellow block. If I want my code to start here, he's over there. So I'm going to have to use code to bring him to me. So I have what I call my pencil case, which is my kind of coding pencil case that has all of the stuff in it that I need. And this is one of them. I am going to type on chat command, and we can change the text that's in here. We can change the syntax. So that's come underscore here. Now we could just make that an X or a Y or a D. We can make shortcut keys. But for the purposes of this lesson, I'm going to use the words come underscore here because I want to show you how a full syntax works. You need an underscore is the first thing because the computer it stops at a space. So all it would recognize if it was come space here would be the word come. And then it would come, and then if you had come here, come to me, come over here, it would just register them all as the same, and it gets confused. It actually takes the first one that you made. And so the other two would be ignored. So what we're going to do is we are going to type that as come here, and then we're going to go to our agent, and it's this red one on the left-hand side. This red one on the left-hand side gives us an option of all the things we can do with our agent. So taking it from the top, and not all of them, but we can agent teleport to player. We can teleport our agent to us. We can move our agent in any of these directions, forward, back, left, right, up or down, by a certain number. Let me just get rid of that. We can turn the agent left or right. We can tell the agent to place on move. We can agent place forward, place back, collect, you name it, we can do it. So this is your little control system for your agent. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get agent teleport to player, and you'll see that as I hover over there, I can place it, and it gives this sort of like almost see-through, semi-opaque grid of a yellowy colour. And that just means that it's got nowhere to be. It's an irrelevant, random piece of code that has not been locked in. What we need to do now is just lock it in. Agent on chat command come underscore here, agent teleport to player. So what this means is, and I always say to when I'm teaching code with children, I always say to them, tell me what that looks like. Be the computer. Tell me, because we want them to think, in computational thinking terms. So I say to them, tell me what that means. And children will very quickly pick up that what I'm asking for is when someone types come underscore here in the chat function, the agent will teleport to the player. So let's test it. So to test it, we go down to the bottom here and we press play. That then takes us into our game, and we can stand right on this spot and say T, the T key, T for tango, opens up your chat function, and we can type come underscore here, and our agent has disappeared. And he's disappeared because he's now on our yellow spot. He came right to us on the spot that we were standing on. That's fantastic. Okay, so let's do that again. Let's just do that again. I'm going to make a second spot over here. So I want to take my agent from there, and I want to place him here instead. So back to our code, just to double check, on chat command come underscore here, agent teleport to player. Escape, or play. That was bad practice on my part, actually. Oh, by the way, to get back to Code Builder, you just press the C key. So it's just C and then play. Good practice is to press play to engage it. And then what we do is we're just going to go over and we're just going to stand and we're going to look at our agent and say T key come underscore here. And he disappears because he's reappeared here. And we can do that anywhere. If I wanted him to go up in the sky, I would just T key come underscore here. And now he's in the sky. But actually I do want him to come down here. But here's the thing. I want him to come down and I want him to face this direction. So I want him to stand. Let's get ourselves green. Actually, line's better. Small hint. Hi Tammy, it's fantastic to have you in again. You're such a super fan. I think you need an Immersive Minds t-shirt. So I want him to stand here and I want him to be facing that direction. That's really important. Okay, because maybe now there's two ways we can do this, and I'm gonna do it the two different ways. And actually for the moment I'm going to switch mobs off. You'll notice these mobs are crossing my screen. I don't need that. I'll switch mobs off. There we go. So there's my agent up in the sky. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get him to here, and I'm going to do what I did before. So I'm going to stand on that square, just looking directly down to make sure that's where I am. Yep. And then I'm going to look in the direction and I'm going to do come underscore here. Whoops. I almost did that as a command. Now, he's where I wanted him to be. He's just not facing in the right direction. And that's because he will always face the direction he spawned in unless we turn him around, unless we're able to do that. So here's now what I want to do. I'm just going to bring him over here. Underscore here. So we're going to get him over there so we can do this again. But this time, I am going to add to my code. So if I press the C key, and this time I go back into agent and I get my agent to turn. Agent turn, and it is left. If I know which way he's facing, so let's go back to our game, and if we know he's facing that way, I need him to turn left in order to face that direction. So now we can get him to do two things. So I'm going to come underscore, whoops, here. And this time, you'll see he's facing the right direction. Now, we didn't see how he did that, so I'm going to show you as a model in a different way. So in agent, I'm going to get him to agent teleport to, and I'm going to take this out. No, sorry, I'm going to take, yeah, I'm just going to do it with the 1. Now, I'm just going to do this real quick. What I've done with C is I've said, instead of agent teleport to player and turn left, because this is the other way we can do it, we can do agent teleport to a set location facing a set direction is what we can do. So I'm going to go and get that location by standing on it and then taking a note. So I'm standing on it now. I'll maybe move a little bit that way. There we are. That's me right on that green with my agent, and that is -23, 4, -17. You can see there's my position and my agent's position at the top. I could have just read the agent position, but I wanted to make sure that I was showing you that I was going, because your agent might not always be there. So let me just go back into code, and we'll actually make this again rather than messing up our first one. Let's make it again. Let's make that, and we'll make that come underscore here. Now you'll notice when I do that, the whole thing becomes see-through, and that's because it's a duplicate. You can't have a duplicate. This one we're just going to go, we're going to call go underscore there. So come here and go there, and let's just swap them around. Two different ways of getting our agent to do the same thing. Now, one thing I will tell you is this introduces us to positions quite early. But don't worry about that. Positions are very specific. If I click on the positions tab, you'll see that we're given these. So relative positions, which I'll explain in a second, world positions, collective, this position plus that position, a random position, and so on. The ground at X, that's if you're your agents in the sky. What we want to do, the only thing we need to concern ourselves about at the moment is these two and why they're different. This one is relative, anywhere where you see these little things, and that is relative to you. It's always relative to you. So if you say, I want the agent to teleport 1, 5, 1, that means that the agent is going to teleport 1 to your left, 5 above you, and 1 ahead. So he's going to kind of be over a slight diagonal up angle there, because that's relative to you. What we actually want is world, because we have a very specific location. We have a location of -23, 4, -17. If ever your code is not working and you don't know why, double check whether you've got your positions in your world positions or your relative positions. It's really important. And there's been a number of times I've run a piece of code and it will not work. And I've gone over and over and over it. And then eventually I'm just like, oh, it was world position. So we're going to put, now that we've, and watch what I did there. I just pulled that out. I took it from here. So we go positions, world, just dragging with my mouse. And then you'll see that I highlight over. It goes yellow if you get it right. And I drop. And that changes. Then we're going to put in our -23, 4, -17. Now, it says west, facing west, -x. I don't know what that is yet. So sometimes I use this as my orientation. Sometimes I sort of think, right, I tell you what, I'm going to use this to orientate. So let's get come_here. Let's get our agent over here. Now what's going to happen is we're going to teleport him to there using our second piece of code, which is go_there. He's going to appear, if I've done it correctly, he's going to appear on the green and he's going to face west. So this is a nice orientation lesson for us. So T key, go_there, and west happened to be right. West just happened to, if we had said north, he would have been facing this way, east, south, and west. So we got it right. So 2 different ways, let me just recap on the code, 2 different ways of getting your agent to go wherever you want to go. I'm going to leave this on the screen for a second, because if we're doing this as a YouTube video, you could always do a screen capture and see what that looks like. Let me just take that opportunity to check OBS. Yes, this is all working. This is great. Okay, and so now that we've got our agent facing the right direction, let's see what we can do with him. So now what I want to do is I want my agent, pressing the C key, to move. So let's take a new player piece. Hey ConsoleCraft, great to see you. Thanks for coming in on Mixer. Give me a follow if you haven't already. We focus on using Minecraft to teach as parents, teachers, homeschoolers, educators, businesses, you name it. How do we use Minecraft to build incredible worlds that teach people things? And so let's go to on player chat. Move. Let's just type move in there, because I'm just keeping this so that we can keep the instructional language there. And then I'm going to take the second one down. So back into agent, because I know I want my agent to move, and I want my agent to move forward by 1. And thank you for the host, ConsoleCraft. So this says on chat command move. So when I press T and type move, press enter, agent will move forward by 1, but we don't want him to move 1. We want him to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And actually, at the end of this, let me just get a sapling. Let's get ourselves a nice tree. Settings 2000. There we go. And then what I'll do is I'll chop this away so we can see better. There we go. We've got ourselves a nice tree. Ah, ConsoleCraft indeed. A particular Danish hotel. In my favourite part of Denmark, which everybody laughs at. Everybody thinks it's ridiculous that I love Lyngby, but I actually do. Want an all expenses paid trip to Lyngby. It's so good to see you, man. I hope you and your family are very well and safe. Now, let's go back and let's go to on chat command move move forward by 1. We don't want him to move 1, we want him to move to the tree. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's do that. Move forward by 5 and then press play. Okay, and then let's just imagine that he's actually over here. Come underscore here. Here we are. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to do 2 commands. The first is go underscore there. We got him where we wanted him to be. And then T move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he will move for us. So all of a sudden, we've now got this little creature doing things for us. We can put him where we want him and we can move him. We can even do things like, let's go to, the reason I put a tree in there is if I press C and I add to agent, let's go to actions, destroy forward. Yep, let's get him to destroy forward and agent collect all. I'm just going to throw this in there just so I can show you some of the things that he can do. So let's do that again. Go underscore there and then move. And watch what he does this time. He's going to move and destroy a tree. And when I click on him, he has collected that piece of oak log. So we can get him to do things for us. We're like, all right, so we can get him to move and destroy some stuff and pick some stuff up. And all we did was type one single word, move, and that happened. And we can create whole strings of code. So let's explore what else we can get him to do. Another way of having him come with you, because the issue with agent is that if you move too far away from him, you are no longer in control of him. There's a kind of a radius before he runs out of almost radio signal, if you like. And so another thing that I like to do is I like to go to player, on player walk. So we're just going to bring that one in. And we're going to change that to fly, on player fly. So when the player flies, agent teleports to player. Press play. Now watch what happens. This will only happen, he doesn't do anything while I'm sneaking or while I'm walking, but when I take off and I fly, he will come with me everywhere I go. I don't have to see him, like if I turn around, he's there. And if I fly over here now, he's there. Hey little guy, he comes with you. So sometimes kids will say, oh, I went away to this jungle thing and I wanted to code, but my agent is miles away. I say, that's great. You can either do the come here thing, or you can just take him with you. He kind of follows you around. It's quite sweet, actually. Follows you around, and as long as you're flying. Now, if I land, you'll see that he remains up there. But as soon as I fly, he comes with me again. So how do we think about that? If in terms of getting yourself a little pencil case, this is my pencil case. So I say, right, this is what I want. I want a command that says to my agent, I need you. I want a command that has my agent follow me. And I want to then start maybe thinking about moving my agent around if I want to. Let's see if we can maybe advance this. I'm going to get rid of destroy and forward, and we're going to continue with the move thing. So let's focus on this piece here. Let's see if we can build a square. What happens if we have our agent build in a square? So to do that, I need to think computationally. So what I need is agent move forward by 5 and then turn left. Now let's see what that looks like. I'm just going to do this over here, and I'm going to go, we know he's going to start that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because there's always a start. So I want him to start there and move by 5. But then he's going to turn right, left. I asked him to turn left, and we're going to do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to ask him to turn left again. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then turn left again and repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now here I'm going to make this red because this is where, and I do this with concrete or wool, this is where we find an issue. So this is our start, and then 5, turn left, 5, turn left, move 5, turn left. And if we did a loop, he would try to move 5 again and he would run out of space. And I don't want that. So let's try it. Let's replace our coordinates with this one. So we'll get on this green one. And we know it's facing west. So that's -1, 4, -5. So let's do that again. see what I'm doing? I'm going in here and I'm just going to change this one to -1, 4, -5. All I've done is I've changed my go there coordinates so that I can continue to guide my guide to the same location without writing a whole new piece of code. That's the important thing. Cheryl, it's lovely to have you here. Thanks, that's so much for tuning in, and you're tuning in on Facebook, which is awesome. Console Craft, I am glad your family are doing well. That's great news. So let's do go there. Sorry, remember go underscore there. So my little agent is going to start on his start space. That's what I wanted. But now I'm going to have to ask him to do something else for me. So we had move forward by move forward by 5, turn left. Now we're going to get him to move forward, whoops, by another 5 and turn left again. So that was our second one. Then we're going to get him to do it again. Now, some of you might be thinking at this point, why isn't he just looping this? We're not going to do that yet because we're taking you through the basics. So forward, turn left, forward, turn left, forward, turn left, and we want him to do this again. So in this case, let's just imagine we were getting him to make a square, and we were going to do, now we know that we want him to go forward by, let's just say we tried that, and children will do this. Children will say, oh, it's easy, you just 5, 5, 5 and 5. So we'll press play and we'll try it again. So let's do this. Move. And he's going to go ta-da, and he's going to follow our little track. Now that worked, but it worked because we haven't had him place anything yet. He would be blocked if it was, thank you very much, room 117. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do go underscore there, and we know he's on that place and he's just going to turn. And this time I want to show you why that was a mistake. We can take this out later, but I want to show you why it's a mistake. So I press C and I'm going to go back into agent, and I'm going to say to my agent place on move at the very beginning before we do anything. Agent place on move is true, which means as he moves, he places something behind him. And then I am going to go over to him, and I am going to give him yellow to build with. And I'm just putting yellow in slot 1 because slot 1 is default. Later we'll talk about how to give him different slots and how to change his materials. So now, according to our code, if we're thinking in terms of computational thinking, a student should say, when we type move into the chat command, the agent decides that he's going to place on move. Then he's going to move forward, left, forward, left, forward, left by 5 at a time. So let's see why this was a mistake. I'm just going to get an angle for this one. Oh, that's because I'm flying. Haha. Okay, code 101. If you don't want that, you just unlock it. I just call that unlocking it. So we're just going to take that and we're going to place it there. And that means that is no longer an issue. Because otherwise, every time I fly to do a demo, he's gonna pop out of his little place. So remember, go there. So there he is. He's ready to start again. And this time I'm going to do move. Now watch what happens. He's going to place blocks as he goes this time. So far so good, right? And then he can't. We can't complete the square because he could only move 4 before he hit an obstruction. And that was the obstruction he placed in the first place. So kids will quite often get quite, with that. I don't understand why it did that. And so we just have to be mindful of a little bit of extra code. So let's see what we would have done before we move to loops. Let's see what we would have done to fix that. What I'm going to do is add agent move by, now we know that this is 4, so we're going to correct this one to 4, and then we're going to change this one to up 1, and then we're going to do agent move forward, by 1, and then I want him to reset, and we're going to get him to turn left, and this should take him right back to the beginning, and that should be, left. However, I happen to know I've also made a mistake in this one. We're going to come back and find out what that mistake is. But right as of now, we've made a mistake. But this is the theory. So let's just clear this off. And if any of you know what mistake I've made, do please let us know. So I've got him to go there. And this time I'm going to, again, before we do that, I always get into the habit of saying to the kids, tell me what it is. So when move is typed into the chat command, the agent is going to decide he's going to place on move. He's got blocks in slot 1 to do that. And then agent is going to move forward by 5 left, and he's going to do that until he gets to the 3rd turn. Then he's going to move forward by 4. He's going to go up 1. Then he's going to move forward 1 and turn left, which should take him to a reset. So let's do that. Let's imagine we were him. We're going to go forward, place, 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 place. Then we're going to go place, 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 place. Then we're going to go up 1, forward, and turn left. And we should be back at the beginning, but 1 block higher. So let's try it. Move. So this is so good, so far so good. Here he goes. Then he's going to get to here. He's going to go up 1, but he's left the blockage. That's the problem. So let's take this down. And that's fine, but if we were to stick this whole thing on repeat to build a tower, he would have a blockage. So go. And what with the fight for toilet paper these days, nobody needs a blockage. So, sorry, that was uncalled for, but it strikes me as funny. So what we're now going to do is we have to go back here and say, see that agent place on move? We need to tell him to make that false. Agent place on move false before he moves forward for the last time. So what we're basically saying is build what you need to build, but when you get to that last point, stop building because we don't need that last block. So let's try that. This is what's going to happen. Then up, and he hasn't left a blockage this time because we asked him not to. And then what we could do is we could just take a loop and we could go, now this is in the loops, and you can see here that we've got on start, forever, loops, pause loops, repeat 4 times. We're going to take a repeat, and you'll notice that we can slot it in anywhere we want, but if we hook it in here at the top and push it back a little, you'll see it's kind of hard to see, but it's created a gap, and if we let it go, it fills that gap. Take a bit of practice. We can do that again. I'll show you what that looks like one more time. But if I take the loop, you'll see that it threatens to break up my code, or I can put it to the very top and push it back a bit. Oops. There. And when I let go, and then I'm going to tell it to do this 10 times. And then we're going to press play. And I'm just going to leave him where he is, and we're just going to do this anyway. Move. And he's going to hopefully repeat this 10 times, and he's going to build for us a nice tower. And that's a really nice exercise to get your children started in coding. Say, okay, take this cool little agent and make a little building. Make a tower block. So now at any point, he hasn't built 10, but at any point, if I press C and go back in, he's completely stopped. I would have stopped him at any point. And so be mindful that once you run a piece of code, you have to continue. You have to let it continue until it's done. If you press C and think, you know what, see while he's doing that, I'm going to go and build something else. You can't, because you engage and pause or effectively stop the code from running. And so we just have to be mindful of that. But that's okay, because we're just going to move our little guy to somewhere else. And so let me go back to, in fact, you know what? We're not going to move him. I'm just going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of this as quick as I can. Just total destruction. I'm sure there's an easier way of doing this. In fact, there would be an easier way of doing this. It would be to program him to do it. Actually, that's an interesting thing. Let's see if we can do that while we're on this stream. Let's have him build something, then destroy it. Oh, I know what we'll do. We'll do that with gardening. We've done gardening before, so we'll have him cut the grass, and then plant the grass again. So we're going to do go underscore there. Now, here's the thing though. I always say to the kids, but how could we have tidied that code up? Forget the loop to begin with. Forget that it's doing it 10 times. This is not helpful. Agent move forward by 5, turn left, agent move forward by 5, turn left, agent move forward by... That's not helpful. So what I want my kids to start doing is thinking about loops. So where, if we take a little for loop, where could we put it? So let's just say we want this to repeat. We're going to pop that in there. So let's think about this. 1, 2, 3. So maybe we need to change this to 3 times. And we need to have this sitting outside of the loop. You see how I've done that now? I've said this needs to be repeated 3 times, and then you move on to this one, this one, this one, this one. Then what we'll do, so let's try that. Let's see if that worked. So he's been told to repeat that 3 times, then do 4, mistake. So I've made a mistake, and I don't quite know where, genuinely. I need to think about that. That's interesting though. Yes, we can replace with air, exactly. Room 117. Are you a teacher, room 117? Is that your room number? I bet you feel like you live there. I bet you that's why you've used that. Okay. And so let's troubleshoot together. What have I done? So I've told him to repeat 3 times. So forward. I know what I've done. That was ridiculous. I've basically told him to repeat all of that code 3 times. And actually, what I needed to do was just that. I only need to give him 1 instruction and repeat it. That's easy. So now we're going to see how that works. Perfect. So that worked, right? And then what we can do, let's see if this works as well, is we can take the 10 loop and just add it like we did last time. So now we have what's called a nested loop. And this is actually quite advanced, but quite quick. Your kids can grasp this concept really quickly. So let's go through the computer thinking, the computational thinking. When player types move, we will do all of this 10 times. And it will start with agent place on move true. He decides that he wants to do that. Then we're going to repeat the agent moving forward by 5 and turning left 3 times. And then separate from all of that, he's then going to do that 4, 1, stop building, forward 1 and turn left. Okay, so we've treated this as a separate piece. So you see how we got from what was essentially all red and what was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 13 pieces of code down to just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8, sorry. So 12 pieces of code down to 8. Kathy, I am still live. It has, honestly, the long Corona nights are just flying by. Actually, I started this stream by saying, we are here on day 6. And then I was like, oh no, actually, it's only day 4. It's like, it feels like day 6. But then I've been in quarantine since last Sunday. So for me, this is day 11. But if we press play, let's try this again. So I'm just going to clear this off. Great to have you with me again though, Kathy. Thank you for your support. And I hope you're getting something out of this. There we go. So let's try this again. So let's go back and have a look at our code. We've taken it from 12 pieces of code down to 8 pieces of code just by replacing certain pieces with loops. So now let's try move. And if he continues to do this more than, say, 3 times, then I know we've done it. I don't want to... There we go. And he's off. And so we cleaned our code up. And this is where we can start to differentiate between the level that our coders are at. This is where, for example, if we're doing code competitions, which is something that we do, we look for things like part of our assessment rubrics are things like you did it in 10 lines or less, or you used a loop instead of continuous code, or you used a nested loop to make it even faster. And if you can, and you can grade based on that, you can say, look, I understand the level that my coders are at because they have adopted these mechanisms. Sometimes, very often actually by themselves. And so there we are, a yellow tower. And he's just going to keep going. So let's just press C and show you that he's stopped again. So see, he stopped there this time. So if you press C, you kill the code. So just be mindful of that. There have been times where my students have planned something incredible. The Hagia Sophia, for example, we coded and built the entire Hagia Sophia using just code. It was incredible. It wasn't one-to-one scale, but it was real close. It had the right number of windows and kubas and minarets, and it was amazing. And the kids stopped the code less than halfway through, and we had to start again. So just be mindful of that. So let's have a look at what else our code can do. Let's focus on something like, in fact, no, I'll tell you what I was going to do. I was going to have a little garden, wasn't I? So let's imagine that this is our house. And we're going to do come underscore yeah. Let me just very quickly put a roof on this. It's not essential, but for the purposes of aesthetics and building a nice little building, we're just going to put some slabs on this. And down here we'll put a little door. There we go. Our house in the middle of our street. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to have a little garden. So I'm going to say that I want my garden to be, and let's put our door there, and let's have this as our little agent shed. This is our agent shed, okay? That's where our little agent lives. And so if I go underscore there, see how he's now appeared, but he's facing the wrong direction. So actually, I want to go back into my code, and I want to have him face, what would that be, north. Let's try that again. Go underscore there, and he'll face north this time. We could have just done, quite often actually, here's another little hint for you from my pencil case. Quite often, certainly going back up to the top there to our pencil case ones, I sometimes just do on chat command L, and then agent turn left, and then on chat command R, agent turn right. And that is it. And it just means that if I go back and I type R, he will turn right, and if I type L, he will turn left. And so I can very quickly coordinate where I want my agent to go. Now, what I want to do is I'm just going to assume that my agent is going to put flowers in there. So I'm going to go up to this tab here for the nature stuff. Then I'm going to go down and look at flowers. There's a section here called flowers. And we're going to give him some flowers. Let's just, dandelions? No, tulips. We like tulips. And we're going to right click and we're going to put tulips in slot 2. This will give me an excuse to talk to you about the different slots. And then what we're going to do is press C again, and we're going to start a new piece of code. So I'll just come down to the bottom here and we'll start a new piece of code entirely. I can get rid of them, put them in the bin. Notice I'm just dragging them over and putting them in the bin. And so I'm going to go to player, on chat command, garden, and I'm going to get my agent to, and I'm going to go down to inventory. If you scroll down all of your options, you'll see that there's inventory, and in the inventory it says agent set active slot, and I'm going to say agent set active slot to 2, and because it was in slot 2, when I right clicked on my agent, that's all you do is right click, it was in slot 2 that I gave him the orange tulips. And so I'm going to go agent slot 2. So he's selected that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get agent to place on move. So the first two things are his setup. Place on move, true, because yes, I want him to plant flowers, right? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say agent, oops, I've already done that one, sorry, agent move forward by, and we will do 5. So he's going to move forward by 5. So we know he's going to place, based on what we already know, he's going to place a row of 5 flowers. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get him to, now this is the thing, I want him to, and this is how I would do it, there's lots and lots of different ways of doing it, but I'm going to say agent place on move false. I don't want him to build anymore, and I want him to move backwards by 5. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, I want him to move backwards by 4. Otherwise, he's going to end up... Actually, let's do the maths on this. So let's just imagine he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I want him to move this way. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then stop building and go back and move 1 to the right. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. So then we have to make it 4. Confusing way of doing it. I'm sure there's other ways of doing it, but this is how I like to do it. I've done this before. And so we're going to get him to go agent move back by 4 and agent move right by 1. Then we're going to do a loop. And I'm going to get him to do all of that the size I want my garden. There we are. Let's see if that works. Garden. Oh. Oh, look at that. He's built the weirdest garden. All right, wee guy, calm down, calm down. So there we go. So his garden has gone all to pot. So let's just get him. Told you I wasn't a coder. Or I certainly wasn't trained as a coder, but I love this. This is the whole point of code, is to have fun and see what mistakes it made. In my head, that was a big square garden that looked beautiful. And as is my real gardening in life, that was a disaster. So I'm going to have to get him to go forward, move forward by 5, stop moving, move back by 4, move right by 1. I know what I'm doing wrong. I know exactly what I'm doing wrong. I need him. These are 3 separate pieces of code. So I need him to set slot. Let me just put this in here. Let me put that in there. Right, so this is our first piece of code. No, that's not true. That's our first piece of code. He will always select active slot 2. We don't need to repeat that, so it doesn't need to be in a loop. Let's see if we can get this right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to ask him at the top of the repeat. True. Then I'm going to get him to move forward by 5. At which point he's going to do that, move back, and it's this that needs repeated. After he's done that, it's this that needs repeated. And then another move at the front. There we are. So we need agent. So we needed a setup. We needed a setup piece of code. And then he's going to move forward by 4. Let's see if this works. Okay, so play. So last time we ended up with a diagonal, which I think is fantastic. Let's see if this works. So we're going to do garden. Right, here's our setup piece. Yeah, it worked. Look at that. And he made a nice little square garden. It doesn't look particularly square, but it is if you just run the materials along like that. You can see that it's a square piece of garden. And he didn't run up against any issues. You are a clever little dude. Once I tell you what to do properly. So there we go. So we've now made a little garden. We could, if we wanted to, code him to get a fence around it and so on. But let's move away from agent for just a second. We would just have him destroy the plants if we wanted to change the types of plants. Actually, what we could do is one more thing actually I want to show you with agent. If we go into agent, we can go to, where is it? It's in the inventory. There we are. Agent set active slot 1, which we've already got actually at the top. So this one here. And we can go into math. And if we go into math and we say to ourselves, pick random from 1 to 3. So let's do agent set active slot, pick random from 1 to 3. That now means, using the maths piece at the bottom here, that it's going to choose a random. And what we can do is we can go over here and we can give him something random to plant. So let's give him 2 more types of flowers. Let's give him dandelions and, there we are, oxydaisies. And we're going to make slot 1 and slot 3. Now let's see what his garden looks like. Just going to get rid of these ones because otherwise he can't plant on top of other plants. And what he's going to do is every time, that's not true, we were about to make another mistake there, and that's because we would only pick random once. I don't want him to pick random once. I want him to pick random every time he starts again. Move forward by 4, pick a new random. Agent place will move false. And actually we need that to be at the end, if my coding is correct. This is bonkers, but let's try it. So go underscore there, and then press garden. What happens now? Nope, he is, oh no, well there we go, he's picked. Yeah, so he's doing rows rather than picking a random. So we would need, that's an interesting thing. He's actually, he picks a random, then places a row. So we only ended up with 1 different row. Isn't this smart? Coding is such fun, you know. Checking out your own mistakes. Bug testing. That's what this is. Bug testing. So let's get him back in his little hovel. And let's see if we can fix our code before we move on to animals. We're going to move on to spawns, gameplay, and we're going to move on to blocks. In fact, we'll use the garden for this as well, because I'm going to do a nice, when winter comes, the flowers die. When summer comes, he plants more. So let's build this in. Let's just leave that actually. I want to get on with the next part, so let's just leave that because it's hurting my head. I'll admit, coding hurts my head. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to look at adding some other things in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, if we click on gameplay, we can see weather, toggle downfall, which is also weather, set time day, add time, set difficulty to peaceful, or whether you want monsters and things. Let's do weather. So first things first, we're going to do, let's put that at the top. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say the weather is going to rain. And then we're going to add, using loops, a time. And 100, you'll see there it says pause milliseconds, 100, that's milliseconds. So if we do 1000, that's a second. So we're going to do 5,000. I want a 5-second gap between the rain, and I'm actually just going to put that there. So it's going to rain for 5 seconds, and then it's going to, this is so smart, right? Okay, so that's going to stop there. So it's going to rain and it's going to pause for 5 seconds. He's going to then decide what he wants to do. And at the end of that, that's because the reason it stopped raining was because I want it to go weather clear. Yes, do that, room 117. I will see you again soon. Thank you. So it's going to rain. Pause for 5 seconds. It's going to rain for 5 seconds. Then it's going to clear. And while it's clear, he's going to do his thing. He's going to move forward by 5. He's going to place on move, and he's going to move forward by 5. And then what we're going to do is we're going to repeat. And I am just going to put that in there and use this as my looped, my nested loop. Let's try that. So weather, it's going to get to the end. And then it's going to rain again. So let's just take this one. So he's going to move forward, he's going to do all of that, and then it's going to repeat. And what I want is up here, player, say. And it's there that it's going to say, winter is coming. Winter is coming. Then it's going to rain. And as well as rain, I'm going to go to blocks and I'm going to say fill with, and this is a really nice one. This is fill with and this means fill with grass from this location to this location. So we can actually fill whole chunks of land, but I want it to fill with air. And then we're going to go and get that land. So I'm going to tell you what that looks like. So that's going to be this corner. Remember, this is where his garden starts. And it's going to be, let me just get this right. It's -1, 4, -6, because we're looking at our position again. And then it was, what was it? It was 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it was 4 wide, wasn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to do it here just to be sure, and here. So we're going to do that. So we're going to do 4, 4 and -10. 4, 4 and -10. So let's go back in and get our world. Remember the difference between, remember we talked about it earlier, we talked about relative and world. Well, this has to be world again, so we're going to replace each of those with world coordinates. And then we're going to put in there -1, 4, -6. And then we're going to do 4, 4, -10. Now we should, I'm actually going to do one more wait. I'm just going to get him to wait 2,000 seconds. So 2 seconds before he then goes off and does his thing. So let's try this. What should happen now is, I need to also do say, player say. Summer is here. No, spring. Okay, and the say just means it will appear in the top left-hand corner. So let's just play that and then type garden. So watch what happens. In the top corner it says winter is coming and it rains. And it's going to rain for 5 seconds and it's miserable. But then it'll say spring is here and he's going to go, why did he only do that twice? Winter is coming. The flowers have cleared. And he's going to move on. So I got that totally wrong. This is painful. Coding is such fun, but it's so bad for me. I love this though, because look what we're trying. We're basically trying to get him to plant a garden only when it's summer, only when it's spring, and it's not really working. So what I need him to do is I need to go back to my, I know what piece of code I'm missing. I'm missing my agent teleport world piece there. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to bring it down and I'm going to put it there. Whew. Right, let's try this again because he's probably off. What have I done? I've left this in 5 times. Oh no, of course I pressed C, so he's not doing that. So there we go. Agent teleport to there. Winter is coming. It's going to rain. I'm going to pause for 5 seconds. I'm going to fill that. Weather is going to clear. It's going to say spring is here, and then he's going to go out and he's going to do his thing. And this hasn't changed, so I'm not really sure. Move forward by 5, back by 4. Let's try that. Weather clear. Right, let's see if we can get this. Yeah. Right, little guy? Let's see if this works. So, weather clear. There we go. It should be getting nice now. There we go. Right, so let's try this. The first thing he should do is go back into his little hole. Garden. Bing. So he did. Right. Winter is coming in the top left-hand corner. And then spring is here. And as soon as the rain slows down, he's going to be like, yes, I can plant my little thing. And then he's going to go back to the beginning. And then winter is coming and the flowers are going to die. Boom. And then spring is here and he's going to repeat. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. This time he's planting different flowers. And then winter is coming and the rain's going to fall and the garden's going to die because it does in the winter. And then spring will come again. And this time he's going to plant a different flower and so on. And so you get the idea. I kind of didn't get him to do quite as big a garden as I wanted him to. And it took me a while to get there. But we have a constantly repeating. There we are. Nice little flower this time. And every year our little gardener plants new things and then goes back to his hovel. I think it's the timings that are just too quick. That's all that is. It's not got time to finish. There we go. That ended it all. Thanks very much, gardener. And so looking at that code, you might be thinking, what is going on here? But in a very short space of time and with a few mistakes and some bug testing together, we've used the player, we've used loops, we've used agent, and we've used gameplay, and we've used math all at once. Now, let me show you what that looks like in JavaScript. Here's the thing. We can click on JavaScript at the top, and it shows us what this looks like. So even our most basic one is there. Player, on chat, L, function, agent, turn, turn left. That's a piece of JavaScript that those kids can learn. What happens if we were to do write? So let's just do that. Let's change that to write. And this is how I often teach computer studies, where I give the kids a piece of code. I let them run it, find out what it does, and then I say to them, now go change stuff. Now go change some stuff that's in there. That's what I want you to do. So we've just changed the L function to turn right instead. So let's go see if that works. This is an easy one. Why is it not letting me do that? Oops, we could not run this project. Please check your code. Oh, right, sorry. Left. That was my fault. I need to do right turn. There we go. So L function turns to right. Press play. That was good for you to see. If you change it in JavaScript and it doesn't work, it just won't let you go back. So now we're going to press L, which previously turned him left, and you'll see he turns right instead. He turns right. Let's do that again. L, and then if we press R, he also goes right. So suddenly we've changed a piece of code that means that we are changing JavaScript, not changing block-based. Because some teachers will say, look, I love this block-based stuff, but some of my kids need to move on now. Well, they can. We can create a framework using block, and then we can use JavaScript to break it down. And eventually your kids will start creating their own code. Gameplay, set weather rain, set weather clear, face north. Fill operation is replace. Replace with air. You can see air is there. Replace is the fill operation. There's the world coordinates right there. The kids can literally fill the coordinates in. They can change winter is coming. Just there. That was the message that we said. Players say winter is coming. So they can find all these things and they start to understand it. Oh, I see what that is. I see what that does. And then they can change it. We're going to go back to block-based because there's a couple of other things I want to show you. One of which is spawn animals. So if we go into our code, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move us down to a new, cleaner piece of code. There we are. And I'm going to go into mobs now. And we can do on animal killed. Well, first things first, actually, before we do that, let's do on chat command pet. We can mobs spawn an animal relative to us. And this is where relative does come in because I want it to spawn on me. And I'm going to make that animal a polar bear. So imagine our pet is a polar bear. So on chat command pet spawn polar bear at my location. So let's do that. Pet. And suddenly a polar bear will arise. But what if we did on chat command chickens? And then we spawned chickens at our location, but we looped it 20 times. Now let's see what happens if we're up in the air and we do pet. Oops. Did I change that? Oh, I changed it to chickens. Chickens! And there we go. Chickens. All just come out of there. There's 20 of them. They happen real quick. And then they'll land and they'll disperse. Off you go. What if I did it in the air and instead I did on player fly? Remember we did on player fly earlier? On player fly. That's because we've already got a player fly, so where we need to find that one, that's because it's there. We're just going to get rid of it. On player fly, spawn 20 chickens, but actually let's make it 100 chickens. Ready? There we go. And everywhere we go, we will spawn chickens until 100 of them have been spawned. As long as we're flying. Yeah, go, 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 go. Actually, there's no point in saying repeat. That's a ridiculous thing. There's no point. That means we would repeat all of that 100 times. So really, we still want it. We just want it to be real simple. Just fly. There we go. Whee. And I think I'm going to have to stop that or I'm going to crash the server. That's a lot of chickens. Kill at E. Boom. That's a lot of raw chickens. There we go. And so, let me just break that. So that was simply on player fly. But what if we wanted to do something like biodiversity? Let's look at how we would teach biodiversity. So what if we did something like mobs on animal killed? Now, before we do on animal killed, I want to just go into here and say forever. On a forever loop, which means it just constantly happens, I would like to have a wait. So let's go into loops and say let's go into mobs and spawn a wolf at a random location. So let's go pick random location from, and then we'll make world, and it doesn't really matter, but let's just, so pick random location from and to. So let's just make the random location the corner of the house. I'm just going to write this down on my board beside me. That is -742, and then somewhere over here we're going to do -27,426. So somewhere in that area between me and that house, in this big square here, we're going to randomly generate. So let's just make this happen. So that was -7, 4 and 2, and -27, 426. We are going to spawn a wolf. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add a timer. So we're just going to pause for 10 seconds, and that's just going to keep happening. But at the same time, I'm just copying and pasting that in now. I'm also going to paste, I'm also going to have a rabbit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop that twice. I just want 2 rabbits in there. So what that says is constantly running. I want a wolf to spawn. We wait 10 seconds, 2 rabbits spawn, and then we wait another 10 seconds and another wolf spawns. And that creates a kind of a biodiversity. It means that 2 rabbits are born for every 1 wolf. We could do this a whole number of different ways with different creatures. But right now, we've got 2 rabbits being born every 20 seconds and 1 wolf being born in a random location every 20 seconds. Now, wolves hunt rabbits. And so what we can do is, there's the wolf and he's off. And then we're going to wait 10 seconds and 2 rabbits should appear. There they are. There's one at the house and 1 there. And then that wolf has seen that rabbit, so he's going to go and try and attack it. And 10 seconds later, another wolf will appear. There's a second wolf, and he's away. So suddenly we've got this biodiversity starting to he's off. He's away hunting him. 2 more rabbits any minute now. Ping. There they are. That wolf's going to get hungry in a minute. He's off. They're away. They're just going to keep going. And then we'll end up with a third wolf. But we're doubling the number of rabbits every time, so that shouldn't be a problem. We'll end up with 6 rabbits. And we could actually do it way more than that. There we go. So now we've got 6 rabbits and 3 wolves, and then 8, and so on. And if we're doubling the number of rabbits. And this might be true to life. This might be statistics that you find online and say, well, actually, you know, rabbits or you know, whatever in that area, they multiply at a rate of 16% every year or something, and we can kind of pull those numbers out, which is what we've done. But what happens if we add, in fact, let's just repeat this 5 times. So there's 5 rabbits born for every 1 wolf. Let's see what that looks like. So there's a wolf, and he's away chasing, and he's away. And this is great fun because the wolves are loving this. They're chasing the rabbits, and they do. But then in 10 seconds, we're going to end up with 5 more rabbits. And 10 and 15 and 20. And this is true. This was true in Australia in the 1970s and 80s. Rabbits were an incredible problem as a pest. And then what also happened in a variety of different countries, including Canada and Scotland actually, a long time ago, was we hunted all the carnivores. We got rid of the species that were the alpha species, except us in the food chain. And so what happens if we do that? What happens if we add another piece of code that just happens to run alongside it that says, on animal killed, and that animal is a wolf, we are going to do mobs, and we are going to spawn rabbits. But because the wolves are getting killed, the rabbits are going to get spawned at a much higher rate. So we're going to spawn 20 rabbits every time we take down a wolf, because there's not a wolf to get rid of those rabbits for us. Every time we kill one, there's this boost in the population of rabbits. And we're going to do that. I'm just going to copy and paste that into there. There we go. You can just copy and paste. So now we have 2 concurrent pieces of code. Spawn a wolf. Spawn rabbits. If we kill a wolf, spawn more rabbits. And so, right now, we've got wolves all over the place. But what happens if I take a sword, and I hate this, I genuinely hate doing this, but it proves the point, and I go and I kill the next available wolf. Where's the next wolf? There's one going to appear. There's always one appears here, remember? There he is. So he's just appeared over there, and I'm going to get rid of him. And if I do that, if I kill him, we end up with lots of rabbits. Let's kill the next one. Let's just get the next one. Let's just make sure that any wolf that comes into our territory gets killed. Because, hey, we're humans. We can do that, right? Can't have anything threatening our food chain, like our deer on our grand estates. So we're going to go over and we're going to do that again. Let's just kill this wolf. Boom. Whoops. There's another 20 rabbits. And so on and so on. And what we end up with is, we end up with this ecosystem that if we're very clever about it, we can, and with the right data, we can create working ecosystems. There we go. Let's just get, but then we've got this problem with rabbits and we can't get rid of them. There's another one. Look, they're all running because they know, but that's okay because we're just going to get rid of him anyway because, hey, he's a threat to our chickens and our rabbits and our livelihoods, our farming livelihoods, and so on and so on. And we can continue to do that. We can do that with fish. We've also got one where, for example, a piece of code that we did, I'm just going to show you this as a separate piece of code, but we did on player swim. So let's just say on player swim in water, on player swim water, and then we did place blocks, place, and then we took dead coral, dead tube coral block at a random location between there and there. This just, imagine this was underwater. And then we pressed play. And we had a living coral. And that living coral was filled with red and green and blue and yellow corals, and there was fish and all sorts. And when the players jumped in the water and they swam around because they thought this was awesome, we slowly replaced, because we just did it with a piece of on-player swim. You just keep doing that. And what we wanted to do was we wanted to do just a little, so you can go in and add a timer, and you can say replace every 10 seconds, so every 10,000 milliseconds, and then we looped it on a forever loop. We just made that our forever loop. So as long as the kids were, actually we didn't loop it, it's as long as they're swimming. As long as they're swimming, every 10 seconds a piece of coral dies. And then what we did with that was we also did we killed the fish. So we then said detect for and remove, and you can get rid of the animals as well. So suddenly the kids were like, hang on a minute, all the corals dying, and they couldn't work out why, because we'd run the code in the background, and they couldn't work out why is that happening. And then I said to them, let's jump into code builder and find out. So they jumped into code builder, they found because we had lots of code running, they found the appropriate piece of code, they went into here, and they found there, on traveled, swim water, place dead tube coral block in a random position. And they were like, every time we're in the water, the coral's dying, like the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, for example. And so we were able to use code to meet really quite serious subjects in the minds of those children and think, so we just don't go in the water, maybe we don't swim near them. And you can do on-player swim water and then you can contain the area to make sure that it's the area that they're swimming in. And then if they go outside of that area later, they can say, but these corals survived, and that was because you weren't swimming there, for example. And so there's so much you can do with code. There's logic in there, which we haven't gone into because this was just the basics. But if this is true, then make this happen. If this is true, then make this happen, or else. We've got things like ands and ors and nots. If we go into, we did blocks, but we can also do clone. We're going to do clone later. Replace with when block is. So if you're swimming along and you say, replace with dead coral when block is pink coral as a player swims. I think that was actually how we did it. On player swim, replace with dead coral. So let's just put in there dead coral. When block is, I need to search for that. Coral. There we are. When block is yellow horn coral. That's how we did it. So replace with dead coral when block is living coral from this location to this other location. And we just got rid of that. And as they swam around, coral died. So many things you can do. We've also got math down here. We can do more with maths, which is lovely. So it's just like, actually, I want my children to do, let's see if we can pop a time in there. So pause for the milliseconds of 10,000 milliseconds, take away 2,000 milliseconds. What's 10,000 take away 2,000? So then the game will pause for 8,000 milliseconds. So sometimes I throw the students by just putting a little bit of code that's mathematical in there. And they'll say, I don't understand why it's duplicating 4 times. And I say to them, check the code, check again. And then they go in and they go, there's a maths piece in there. We also have variables, which we're going to do later, but you can create a variable, which then allows you to adjust your code randomly. And so on. And then when you go into advanced, you've got functions, arrays. We built a word game once using an array where the kids could spell out words, and then the array removed the word that they'd spelled from the list. Text, builder, shapes, etc. These are all for later. But in the meantime, please do check this out for yourselves. Going back to basics, I'm just going to save and quit. You need Minecraft Education Edition. If you have an Office 365 EDU account, you automatically have this. If you have Bedrock and you don't have Minecraft Education Edition, do not fear. You can still use Code Builder. You just download Code Builder from education.minecraft.net/download, and you can get Code Builder from there. That's education.minecraft.net. and you can get Code Builder from there, and it works in Bedrock, and you can do all the same things. So you may want to play around with this on PC or Mac for Bedrock. Does anyone have any questions on coding before I finish? I strongly recommend it. Check it out, play it, do it yourself. It's really fantastic way of getting into code or helping your students to get into code. Ed00078, thank you so much for the donation. I actually didn't think I was set up for donations. I'm not sure how that works, but that's via Twitch, and I promise you all donations that anyone makes, because apparently that's a thing, will go to schools. They will go directly to some kind of educational system. We give away stationery every year. We give away PlayStations every year. We give away Merge Cubes. We just gave a 3D printer away to a local school, thankfully before the coronavirus kicked in, because I don't know how we would have got it to them otherwise. We give away VR headsets and all sorts. So any donations that anybody makes will be given to schools. I can promise you that. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. I'll be back tomorrow with 2 fresh streams. Tomorrow we are doing straight up lessons. That's all we're going to be doing tomorrow. We're not doing any of the how-tos necessarily. We're going to be doing check this out. So we're going to be showing you maths and mathpocalypse. We're going to show you the zombie apocalypse world, and we're going to be showing you our toy box worlds tomorrow in the afternoon. So please check us out. Twice a day, every day for at least the next month, we're going to be doing this. Great to have you with us. Stay safe and healthy. Isolate. Look after everyone. Take care, everyone. Bye, bye, bye.